CNN in Washington, seen live around the world. This is Worldview. I'm Bernard Shaw.
And I'm Judy Woodruff. Our top story, one man's journey back to the future. Astronaut John Glenn, the oldest person to travel in space, is returning to the frontier he first explored more than 3 decades ago. Glenn and 6 other astronauts aboard the U.S. shuttle Discovery blasted off Thursday from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. CNN's John Zarrella is there, and he joins us with more on that story. John.
Good evening, Judy. It has been just a long and wondrous day here at the Kennedy Space Center, filled with all kinds of enthusiasm from the 3,500 journalists and members of the media assembled here, all the way over to the tens of thousands, to the hundreds of thousands of people who packed all along the Space Coast, every possible place they could to watch this launch. It was a long day for the astronauts, too. Of course, American hero and legend John Glenn boarded the shuttle Discovery with the other 6 astronauts at about, 2 hours before the launch. And he looked awfully spry getting in there for a 77-year-old former senator and now astronaut about to make his 2nd trip into space. The 2 hours probably went by very, very quickly as they sat there. There were a couple of minor delays during the countdown. The countdown actually 19 minutes late as they waited for clearance of a couple of planes that were in the area and one minor problem. But then when liftoff came, a spectacular moment for everyone and certainly for John Glenn.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery with a crew of 6 astronaut heroes and 1 American legend.
Houston Discovery, roll program.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
While all of this was, of course, taking place, this great moment in American history, President Clinton and his wife Hillary were here at the Kennedy Space Center, and they, of course, watched this liftoff. There they are. They were atop the launch control area here at Kennedy, and to their left there is, of course, NASA Administrator Dan Goldin with the cap, and the other assembled dignitaries there to see the flight. For the president, it was the first time that an American president had come to watch a launch since Richard Nixon watched Apollo 12 here. So a very special moment for all the people here at NASA as well. Now, while the president was watching, unbeknownst to him or anyone else, a problem actually developed just as the vehicle's engines were firing up on the launch pad. A small panel, a panel that you can see right now just above that top engine there. You'll see it coming off. There it is. We've isolated it there for you. That is a panel from the drag chute door. It apparently dislodged because of the vibration of the engines. It hit that main engine bell, as they call it, as it fell to the ground. NASA officials took a good hard look and are still taking a good hard look at that. The drag chute has been used on about 40 flights. Primarily it is used during bad weather situations, but for the first 50 flights they never used it, and so it's not believed to be a mission-threatening problem, as Mission Control explained to the astronauts.
Houston, go ahead.
Yes, Kurt. Just prior to liftoff, after main engine start, what appears to be a panel in the vicinity of the drag chute door came off the vehicle and came in contact with the center main engine bell. We are evaluating at this time. We do not expect this to impact your mission. If it was a drag chute door, this is not a hazardous condition, and we expect the mission to proceed as scheduled.
Again, Mission Control, the engineering team here at the Kennedy Space Center and in Houston evaluating the situation, but as you heard, not believed to be a serious situation. The astronauts are on orbit, enjoying their first few hours in orbit, and after they got up there, well, John Glenn got to make his first call home.
Hello, Houston. This is PS2, and they let me get sprung out of the middeck for a little while. We're just going by Hawaii, and that is absolutely gorgeous.
It was certainly absolutely gorgeous for all of us here, too, to watch this spectacular event. Once in a lifetime by many people's estimations. And for John Glenn, now 9 days of experiments on aging in the weightlessness of space. This is John Zarrella reporting live from the Kennedy Space Center. Judy?
John, just one quick question. Is NASA doing anything particularly different this time because a 77-year-old man is on board, and senator for that matter?
Not particularly, other than what they did here at the Space Center. The security was absolutely tremendous, unlike anything I had ever seen. You had armored personnel vehicles, you had bomb-sniffing dogs, men with automatic weapons, things that you never saw. Now, as far as in space, Judy, it's business as usual, and Senator Glenn, former Senator Glenn, is a mission specialist, too, with jobs to perform. Judy?
All right, John Zarrella, and of course he is a senator until he leaves office, I guess, when his successor is sworn in January. Thanks. Bernie.
During Discovery's mission, 77-year-old Glenn will take part in 10 scientific studies on aging. Some of the effects of weightlessness on the human body are similar to those suffered by the elderly on Earth. NASA scientists say they hope to learn more about balance disorders, bone deterioration, sleep disturbances, cardiovascular problems, and immune response.
A great deal has changed, of course, since Glenn's last trip into space. His vehicle in 1962 was a Mercury capsule named Friendship. Now it's the Shuttle Discovery. Back then, he made just 3 orbits around the Earth. This time, he's expected to make 144 orbits. His last flight lasted 4 hours and 45 minutes. This flight is expected to last 8 days and 20 hours. Back then, he traveled more than 75,000 miles. This time, he is expected to cover about 3.6 million miles. Friendship had, believe it or not, no computers. Discovery has 5. Except for one tragic accident, the U.S. Space Shuttle program has taken giant strides in America's exploration of space. CNN's Tony Clark takes a look back.
We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
Since the first launch 17.5 years ago, the Space Shuttle program has soared to tremendous heights.
And the shuttle has cleared the tower.
And it has fallen to cavernous lows. There have been 91 shuttle missions prior to Glenn's flight. Crews have spent a total of 783 days in orbit, performing experiments, launching satellites, retrieving satellites, and repairing them. They've practiced building a space station and linked up with the Russian Mir space station to learn what it's like to live and work on one. With the deployment of the Hubble Space Telescope in 1990, the shuttle helped astronomers look out into the heavens. And over the years, astronauts have returned to Hubble to give it an even clearer view.
The doors just sprung open.
While the shuttle has been a workhorse for NASA, it has not always lived up to its promise. John Glenn's flight is only the 4th shuttle mission this year. There were twice as many last year. The Spartan satellite was put on Glenn's flight because it failed to operate properly on a mission last year. In 1996, there was an Italian satellite that broke its tether and floated off. A fuel cell problem cut short one mission, and bad weather and woodpeckers have kept the shuttle on the ground. In some respects, the shuttle program has even suffered from its own success. Over the years, public interest has waned as flights seem to become routine. NASA hopes John Glenn will help turn that around. Tony Clark, CNN, Johnson Space Center.